On December 6, 1865, as a result of the Union winning the Civil War, our federal government ratified the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. As written in the Library of Congress, the 13th Amendment states, "Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction." This election season saw a proposition that sought to make a change to this amendment in California's Constitution. The outcome of a majority of Californians voting yes on Proposition 6 would be that it amends the California Constitution to remove current provisions that allow jails and prisons to impose involuntary servitude to punish crime. Because of the massive amount of people who are wrongfully prosecuted, convicted, and then forced into involuntary servitude, as well as the fact that it would reduce crime, every California citizen should vote yes on Prop 6. Allow me to define involuntary servitude. The Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division has a page dedicated to involuntary servitude. In it, they say Section 1584 of Title 18 makes it unlawful to hold a person in a condition of slavery, that is, a condition of compulsory service or labor against his or her will. In their legal language, involuntary servitude appears indistinguishable from enslavement. To avoid forcing involuntary servitude, or in other words, enslavement, upon those who have been wrongfully convicted, we should be changing our Constitution to eliminate this punishment. For all the skeptics out there, let's explore our nation's relationship with criminality and due process. According to the 2016 award-winning documentary, 13th, the chief domestic advisor to President Nixon has gone on the record to say, quote, "The Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did." End quote. Nixon's administration, along with many other conservative administrations, decided who they wanted to put in jail before they decided on the behavior that constituted a criminal. Then they set their political enemies up to be framed as criminals and flat out lied to have them convicted. Even if, for whatever reason, the disproportionately high mass incarceration of innocent persons, who are most often people of color, isn't a compelling enough argument for you, here's an even stronger one. Removing this exception to the 13th Amendment will actually reduce crime. The Department of Justice finds that within 1 year, 43% of formerly incarcerated people were rearrested, and within 10 years, that number jumps to 82%. 82% of criminals are rearrested within a decade of their release. What's the problem here? Well, seeing as only 15% of incarcerated adults have a bachelor's compared to 45% of the general population, education is clearly a huge problem here. Here's my logic. If we keep people impoverished because we aren't paying them for their labor, uneducated because there are very limited opportunities to study in prison, and we constantly surround them with other criminals who aren't looking to change their ways, we can't possibly expect them to stop committing crimes. They still gotta eat, and y'all know food ain't free. According to America Action Forum's former Director of Human Welfare Policy, Tara O'Neill Hayes, poverty makes someone more susceptible to being arrested and more likely to be charged with a harsher crime and to receive a longer sentence. It's very clear to me that our criminal punishments are not doing enough to help criminals escape poverty and, by extension, avoid becoming a repeat offender. What can be done, you might ask? Well, if we vote yes on Proposition 6, then we can begin this necessary financial rehabilitation in multiple ways. For example, we could pay people for their labor while they are incarcerated. We could start providing job training that will enable convicts to make more money than they legally could have before being arrested. And we could begin college education with prisoners. If these people had profitable skills that were legal, less of them would have to commit crimes in order to make enough money to survive, and those criminals who had a legal alternative would now be less incentivized to take the risk of committing a crime in order to make money. What would happen if we didn't vote yes on this proposition? Well, we certainly aren't going to make progress in reducing crime because the majority of people who are committing crimes do not have a legal and profitable enough alternative. So, once again, because of the massive amount of people who are wrongfully prosecuted and convicted, as well as the fact that it would reduce crime, every California citizen should vote yes on Prop 6. We could prevent wrongfully convicted people from being forced into slavery and provide criminals with legal skills that would allow them to make a living. Hopefully, by now, I've convinced you that Proposition 6 should be passed into law in the state of California. Here's what you can do about it. On those ballots you get in the mail this season, vote yes on Prop 6. And when we pass this proposition here in Cali, there's still more work to be done. 360,222 Union soldiers gave their lives so that no American would ever be enslaved again. And we have failed them all. This fight needs to be fought in every state until we can change the 13th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States to outlaw all loopholes for slavery. Thank you.